Hey guys, this is part 16 of Azure tutorial. In this video, we will learn how to install Visual Studio and SQL Server Management Studio. So, what are the requirements of Visual Studio and SQL Server? Well, you require 64-bit Windows 10 or Windows 11 operating system, a minimum 74 GB of storage, and minimum 2 or 4 GB of RAM. You can install Windows 10 at this following link, and you can install Windows 11 on this link. Now, how to check that if you have these requirements? Let's check that out. So if you go to this PC, you can check your drives. So C drive contains 390 GB, D drive contains 99.9 MB, then E drive contains 195 GB, and F drive contains 345 GB. That's more than enough. Now the second requirement says first one says 64-bit Windows 10 or Windows 11. After looking my computer, you must have recognized that it's a Windows 10 operating system. But still, let's check that out. Now, so right here you can check edition Windows 10, and then your RAM you have to check. Here is the 4 GB of RAM. You can have 2 GB or more than 2 is much good. Let me just close that. Now, there are different versions of Visual Studio like Visual Studio 2008, Visual Studio 2010, 12, 13, 15, 17, 19, and finally the latest Visual Studio version, which was released in 8th November, which is Visual Studio 2022. At the Microsoft's download page, you will be able to download this Visual Studio version. Now, the whole world uses Visual Studio 2015, 2017, 2019, and 2022. And in most rare cases, like companies who work in the old softwares, they use Visual Studio 2013. But Visual Studio 2012, 10, and 8 currently are being expired. Similar to Visual Studio, there are different versions of SQL Server Management Studio as well, like SQL Server 2005, 8, 8 Revised 2, 12, 14, and finally the latest SQL Server version, which I am going to install in this video, which is SQL Server 2019. Now, the whole world uses SQL Server 2019, 2012, and 2014, and in most rare cases this 2008 Revised 2. But 5 and 8 currently nobody uses that. Now let's look at the interconnection between Visual Studio and SQL Server Management Studio. Now if you look at the startup screen set of 2012 SQL Server and 2014 SQL Server, these are how they look like. Now right here on the bottom right corner you can see powered by Visual Studio. This simply means that there is an interconnection between Visual Studio and SQL Server. So simply we can use Visual Studio for programming with SSMS as a database software. Now let's look at the compatibility. Now 2008 Visual Studio is compatible with SSMS 8 and it's compatible with Windows XP and further. 2010 is compatible with 8 Revised 2 and is compatible with Windows Vista. 2012 is compatible with SSMS 2012 and is compatible with Windows 7 and further. 13 is compatible with 12 and it's also Windows 7 and further. 15 is also compatible with 12 and it's also Windows 7 and further. 17 is compatible with 2014 and it's not used in Windows 7 but it's only used in Windows 8.1 and further. Visual Studio 2019 can be used with SQL Server 19 and this can be used in Windows 10 and further. Further means Windows 10 and Windows 11. Now Visual Studio 2022 is compatible with SQL Server 2019 and this is compatible with Windows 10 as well as Windows 11. I'm going to install Visual Studio 2019 and SQL Server 2019. Now let's look at how to download Visual Studio and how to download SQL Server Management Studio. Let's flip to Microsoft Edge, and there let's search for Visual Studio 2019 download. So search for that, and there you'll get, I will also include the link which I am using right while installing Visual Studio. Now click on this link, Visual Studio 2019 16.11.5. Remember, 16 or further 16 versions are only compatible with Microsoft Azure. The older versions can be used as a publisher for Azure. So let this website be completely loaded. It takes a long time, so I will just fast forward the process for you guys. Okay, so the website loads, and now it's asking me, do you want the community edition? So community edition is free to download, and it's used for educational purposes. Professional editions and enterprise editions are of a free trial, which means they are only free for 30 days, and these are used by enterprise companies. Now community editions works for us, so let's download free community edition. Now it will now start to download the setup, rather it take a long time, so I will just fast forward the process for you guys. So right now our Visual Studio setup has been downloaded. Now let's flip to its file location. So of course it will be downloaded in the downloads folder. Right here we can see that. So let's launch the setup. Click yes on any security prompts. Okay, so it's downloading. Now it's extracting the files from the setup. Now it has asked me the security prompts, security rights, so I click yes, and okay, so now it will start to download the Visual Studio setup file. Now okay, it will open the Visual Studio installer, and then it will start to extract the files, and then it will install the installer, and then okay, so yes, so Visual Studio installer has been opened. Let's click continue, and it's now fetching our files and then downloading. First of all, it will download the setups, which means it will download your files, files from the setup, and then it will install the installer itself. After that, it will launch the installer, and then we will be able to install Visual Studio 2019. Alright, so that will take rather a long time. I will just fast forward the process for you guys. Okay, so it has downloaded the Windows Visual Studio installer. Now it is getting everything ready, which means it's preparing the installer. Alright, so now the installer has been installed, and now it's launching. Now is the main point while the Visual Studio Community 2019 download. So okay, let it just ready the things. Okay, it will take a long time, guys. So alright, yes. So now here you have to select what all features do you want in your Visual Studio. So first of all, we are learning Azure, so we should have this checkmark check, and that would take up 11.26 gigabytes. Then ASP.NET is used for website development. It won't take much memory. The total space is 11.8 gigabyte. So such all features you will get. So you can develop mobile with .NET, C++, gaming, many are there. So Linux development is also there, and Office also. Oh, anyway, so these two are for ours. We will check that out, and then click this install button, and now it will start the download operation. After it has downloaded the necessary files from the Visual Studio Community Edition. So what all features we have? checks for that, the Visual Studio Community Edition will have to extract some file, and that will be extracted using this download operation. And after the download operation is complete, it will then run the extracted files and start to install that features. Once again, it will take a long time. It will take a really long time, so I will just fast forward the process for you guys. So right now our installation is complete and it's asking us to reboot our PC, but for now let me just cancel that. So, and if we go to the search window, we can search Visual Studio, and we get this Visual Studio 2019. So right now we have installed Visual Studio 2019. Let us close this dialog box. Now the next step is to install Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio. Just type SQL Server download. So click enter, and then right now we can go to the SQL Server downloads page of Microsoft. Now SQL Server 2019 also has some versions like the Developer, the Express. Many are there for SQL Server, like Azure SQL Server at the edge, SQL Server on premises. This is the free trial and this is the free one, but Developer is for the learning purpose. So we can download this Developer SQL Server installation. So now it is downloading the setup file. So now okay, it won't take a long time. So it's finalizing the installation. Yes, so the setup file has been downloaded. Click open file. Do check yes on any security prompt. Say yes. So now it's getting the things ready for. So now it's asking us, do you want the basic installation, or do you want the custom one, or do you want to download the media? So basic installation works for us, so click on the basic one. Now click accept to accept the license agreement and click install. And now this installation will happen over a long period of time, and rather it will take a long time. And this installation is of the database engine, and then we have to download Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio to work with our queries. Alright, this installation will take a long time. I will just fast forward the process for you guys. So right now our database engine has been completely downloaded, and now we have to download the Management Studio. So right here is a button called Install SMS. SSMS, by the way, stands for SQL Server Management Studio. Let's click on that. Now it will redirect me to another page where we can download the SQL Server Management Studio. And if you scroll down a bit, here is the link to download this setup file. So the latest version of SQL Server is 18.10, close to 19. Alright, so right now the installation of our setup file is going on. So it is a 1.4 megabyte installation, no, 653 megabyte installation. Rather it will be a long time, so I will just fast forward the process for you guys. So right now the setup installation is complete. Let's click on open file. Click yes on any security prompt. Alright, so click on this open file option. So now select the path where you want to install Microsoft SQL Server and click install. Now the installation will happen with the actual SQL Server Management Studio with Azure Data Studio. We will discuss this tool in detail in our upcoming videos. For now, this Azure Data Studio will come within the SQL Server Management Studio installation. Alright, so this installation will take a long time, and after this installation is done, restart your machine and then you will have Microsoft SQL Server with Visual Studio installed on your machine. Well, that's it in this video. Thank you for listening.